Hey everyone, welcome back to another camera channel. Today we're going to be talking about optical low pass filters for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K and 6K. Like a lot of you out there, I own a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. I actually own two 6Ks and one 4K, and probably like most of you out there, you absolutely love your camera. I know I do. I love my cameras. And ever since I've got them, I have been using them for absolutely everything. Personal work, client work. And I think I've shot some really nice stuff on them. But when I first got them, I did run into a few issues, let's say. And these issues were MOIRE and infrared light pollution. First, let's talk about what these actually are. When talking about MOIRE, what we mean are these funky patterns, often rainbow-like in appearance, which can appear on fine line patterns like clothes, walls, basically anything that forms some kind of pattern which coincides with the pattern on the sensor. These two patterns merging causes these crazy looking patterns that we define as MOIRE. It seems almost impossible to remove MOIRE in post. The techniques that I've searched for and I've watched YouTube videos about don't really seem to work. They can help with removing some of the color imperfections that might arise, but for the pattern that actually gets recorded inside the camera, that stays. That I can't remove that at all. And none of it seems to work. And the second one is IR pollution or contamination. And this is the camera picking up the infrared or near infrared light of certain materials or certain colored objects that are in our scene, which through the camera appear at slightly different colors. So like a good example is like black clothes will look more red. And this obviously to the naked eye, they don't look red, they just look black. So because the camera can see more than what our eyes can see, this is why this happens. Filters like this are placed in front of the sensor, and a lot of other camera manufacturers have these things. Well, this is actually one from Blackmagic. This is actually the one I removed from the 6K that we're using right now. And although this was designed to block some kind of light, it still lets some through, and that is a problem. And this is what this product, which I'm going to talk about today, is meant to fix. Now, the solution I found is from a company called Rawlite, and they make a bunch of filters which sit inside your camera. They're usually replacements for the existing filter which sits in front of your sensor. And maybe you're looking into one of these filters and you want to know, is it worth $500? That's right, they are really, really expensive. And if you think about the price of a brand new 4K, you know, $1,300, adding an extra $500 on top of that to fix some problems, which maybe you probably would have thought Blackmagic should have been fixing themselves, is it worth it? Well, it really depends. While MOIRE and infrared light pollution is a problem, maybe you've never noticed it, but maybe after watching this video, you'll start to see the signs of how to notice it better in your footage. After actually installing the filter, I saw a big change actually when I did the side-by-side comparisons, which you'll see soon. I was actually really blown away. And I thought, okay, this is quite worth the money, I think. But there are some shortcomings, which you're going to find out as well. So let's go to the start, installation. How easy is it to swap these things out? So there are video guides that you can watch online. They're usually hosted on Vimeo. Everything you need comes in the kit, apart from maybe the tape you will need to tape down the lens release button. But the tape they're using, I think it's surgical tape. I'm pretty sure you could find it easily if you really wanted to do it. And to be honest, any tape worked. I actually ended up using electrical tape for one of my other cameras. Following along with the video wasn't actually that hard. It is a little bit nerve-wracking, and you're obviously very conscious about dust. So if you have some kind of airflow or something, I'm sure you'll be fine. I wore a mask, which obviously with COVID and stuff, everyone's got masks. So like very easy to slip on a mask. It'll definitely direct your breathing away from what you're doing. So you have less chance of getting dust inside the camera while you're working on it. But it's kind of a little delicate process. But if I can do it, I'm pretty sure everyone else can do it. Just take your time, just follow along with the instructions, put everything back together, and then you're done. So initial tests, because I have two 6Ks, this is pretty easy for me to do. Thanks to my girlfriend for being the model for this. And this is I actually filmed these tests back when I first put the filters on. So I think this is around April when we still had the cherry blossoms around. And you can see from side by side here, dramatic difference. The black parts of her clothing just look super, super red. And even the trees and stuff, I don't know, you can see a slight difference there as well. So you can judge for yourself. Now for moire, I really bad moire on the 4K with a sofa that we have in the studio. And as soon as I open up the 4K, I kind of regret buying it just because of the moire issue. It was terrible because I was initially going to use it for a third camera for interviews and things. And I just, opened it up, set it on a tripod, put it towards the sofa, and oh my God, it was the worst pan I've seen ever. Just the whole sofa covered in rainbow pans. I couldn't believe it. So I was like, oh no, I have to spend another $500 now. And if I was gonna go through and put this filter on my 6K, and I definitely need one for the 4K, then I gotta do the third 6K too. I can't have these cameras not matching in any way. So it's $1,500 worth of filters I had to buy to make these cameras match. And I held off installing the first one for a long time just because of that reason. I didn't want to have to buy filters for all these other cameras. But eventually that's what I did. $1,500 was spent on these filters. Now you're probably wondering at this point, do they work? Yes. Let's do some side-by-sides just to show you. So this is the 4K. This is the sofa. Obviously, the horrible, horrible moire on this sofa. This is just the stock camera. And this is with the Rawlite OLPF filter installed. And you can see, yes, there is no moire anymore. Now with the 6K, yes, obviously, IR cut works amazingly. And the moire problem has gone, but it has popped up twice. So it doesn't completely remove it, but it reduces the likelihood of it coming up, I would say. I'll show you the shot. This is it. If you can look down here on the shoemaker's kind of like apron, there's very visible moire there. I can't get rid of it in post, annoyingly. I have to live with it. I'm assuming without the filter inside, it would be a nightmare. This is less of a nightmare. So overall pretty good so far. There is one more thing, and I need my phone for this. In one of my tests, I noticed I had some sunlight kind of glaring onto the screen. I saw these kind of red dots, and I was like, oh no, because these red dots weren't in the other shot on the camera without the filter on. So I was thinking, what is this? Okay, so I'm shooting at f2 10.5. As you can see by this very nice starburst kind of lens flare we have here. So 10.5, normal kind of ISO range. So it's none of these kind of camera settings. But watch, if I bring this closer, you'll see what I mean. And I first noticed this when I pointed the camera directly at the sun. So I'm going to bring it closer like here. You're going to see it. There we go. Now these red dots appear, and I assume they are a pattern of dots on the OLPF to help reduce moire. I'm not sure. But the trade-off is we get these red dots. And even if I change the aperture, they are still there. Now that is something that you just can't remove. There's nothing you can do in post to remove that. You just have to be very careful when you're shooting. Which if you're going to do anything pointing at the sun, obviously the sun is extremely bright, this may cause problems. So this is something you definitely need to know if you're going to buy these filters, that depending on what you shoot, you may have a massive issue. If you shoot towards the sun or you need to do something like that. I don't shoot sunsets. I haven't actually tried it. But when I pointed the camera towards the sun in these tests, as you can see, I got these red dots everywhere. I think a good way to sum this up would be that these filters do a good job at help fixing a problem, but they don't fix it entirely. I would say that it's worth it. It just hurts you. It just hurts your wallet when you do it. I would like to say a big thank you to Rawlite for actually making the product in the first place. Seeing that there was a problem and trying to come up with a solution. It's an expensive solution, but thanks to them for actually doing it. Because without you guys, putting your time and effort into making this product, this would be a huge problem for everyone. I know there are some other solutions for the IR cut problem, like using IR cut filters like in a matte box or screw-on ones to go in front of your lens. I guess downsides for that would be that you still need to buy multiple for different cameras or maybe even different lens sizes. But maybe in the long run, it would be cheaper than buying 3 filters for this. And also, that wouldn't fix the moire problem. I guess another downside is if I want to put my Blackmagic cameras next to other people's, there will be color differences, obviously, and quality differences in between those cameras. I haven't noticed the image being any softer from these filters, which is a good thing. It seems that the image clarity and quality is the same. If it is different, I can't notice it. So maybe if you have very, very good eagle eyes and you can see through the YouTube compression as well, maybe you can tell me if there's any subtle differences between the filtered and unfiltered cameras. One interesting side note is that when researching the moire problem, I found a video on Vimeo by a guy called August St. Freytag or Apricum Media. And it seems that he's fixed his moire problem somehow in post. I don't know if this is AI learning or machine learning, kind of algorithms which are fixing and re-rendering the footage, but I know this was before he got his own Rawlite filter. I did try and reach out to him on Twitter and via Vimeo, but he didn't respond. So if you happen to be August or you know him, please, I would love a reply to my comment so I could find out how you did this, because it's absolutely incredible. I think it would help so many people if you could share your knowledge to the world, that how to fix that moire stuff. Was it AI? Was it some kind of algorithm that you ran it through? Or was it something amazing like a filter or plugin in a normal editing program? We'd really love to know, because what you've managed to fix on your footage was insane. I did try using Topaz Labs' image enhance AI software to try and fix the moire, but even using the video on Vimeo, any of the moire profiles didn't work. So to really wrap up now, is it worth it? I think yes, if you're willing to spend the money to fix those issues. I really wish Blackmagic would just fix them anyway, because other camera manufacturers seem not to have these problems, like Red cameras and stuff like that don't seem to have these issues. I know obviously there's a price gap there, so don't flame me about that, but if Blackmagic could sort this out, that would be super sweet. Thanks again to Rawlite for creating the product. I spent a lot of my own money on these products, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a like, share it with someone who might have some kind of issues with their Blackmagic cameras, and I'll see you in the next one.